There are some mysteries that have quite a few. And was sent to juvenile. However, he was released later when polygraph tests showed that he was innocent. Gary's father was a police officer, and so it was thought that the murder was a part of a revenge. In 1986, 2 messages were found on different sites. The first one said, "Gary Grant's dead. I am living. Another will die on January 12th if all goes right." The second message said, "Gary Grant Jr. lives. I still killed him. Son of a pig officer." Playback is inaudible. Thankfully, no one died after the messages, but the case went cold. Gary's father found another clue in 2016 while converting some audio tapes into MP3 files. He found a call made on March 8, 1986 to 911 that said, "Ah, yes. Is it possible for me to collect the reward on my own self for the murder of Gary Grant? Perhaps if I did it myself, and I want to collect the reward." 911 responded by saying, "If you did it." And he said, "Yeah." And 911 replied, "Suppose I hook you to the detective bureau." The suspect replied, "No, that's okay. Just make sure they know this isn't a prank call. You're never gonna catch me." However, 911 did receive another call a few weeks later where someone was accused of killing Gary. However, he was never charged, although he was found guilty of child endangerment in 2013. Number 7, the Freeway Phantom. Number 7 brings us to the famous Freeway Phantom. Over the course of 2 years, the Freeway Phantom killed 6 girls from the age of 10 to 18, and all of them were African Americans. On April 25th, 1971, 13-year-old Carol went to a store and never came back. Her body was found 6 days later next to a highway. On July 8, 16-year-old Darlena Johnson left her job at a local recreation center and never made it back to work. Her body was found after 11 days, dumped 15 feet away from where Carol was found. 19 days later, 10-year-old Brenda went to a store and after 3 hours called home while crying. She said that the white man picked her up and that she thought she was in Virginia, and then hung up the phone. The phone rang again and Brenda repeated what she had said, and this time said that she was alone in a house with a man. Her body was found hours later, and she had been raped and strangled to death with a scarf around her neck. On October 8, 12-year-old Nina went missing from the store. Her body was found dumped on the side of the road, and she had been raped and strangled. On November 15th, 18-year-old Brenda went missing and her body was found early the next morning and had been strangled and stabbed. Her coat was laid on her with a note in the pocket that said, "This is tantamount to my sensitivity to people, especially women. I will admit the others when you catch me, if you can." Handwriting analysis showed that the note had been written by Brenda herself. On September 5th, 1972, 17-year-old Diane went missing and was found strangled to death on the side of the road. The entire case slowly went cold, but it was suspected that the killer lived in Congress Heights because the murders happened in that area. 3 of the 6 girls had the middle name Denise and was linked to a suspect named Robert. He was charged with 3 murders before this and convicted for one of them in 1938. He was released 20 years later, and in 1977 he was arrested for rape, and the word tantamount was found in one of his footnotes. However, he was never charged because there was no physical evidence. Number 6. The Black Dahlia. On number 6, we have the Black Dahlia. On January 15th, 1947, Elizabeth Short's naked body was found cut in 2 pieces on a parking lot in Los Angeles. A woman discovered the body and thought it was a mannequin. Her body had been washed by the killer, and her face had been slashed from the corners of her mouth to her ears, which created in effect the Glasgow smile. She was badly mutilated and had several cuts on other parts of her body. A newspaper called her mother, saying she had won a beauty contest to get as much information as possible. They described the suit Short was last seen wearing as a tight skirt and a sheer blouse. They started calling her the Black Dahlia. On January 23, 1947, someone called the Los Angeles Examiner claiming to be Short's killer and offered to mail items that belonged to Short. A package arrived the next day containing Short's birth certificate, business cards, photographs, names written on pieces of paper, and an address book with the name Mark Hansen embossed on the cover. No one has been found guilty of the murder. However, more than 50 people have confessed to her murder. Number 5. Günther Stoll. Number 5 brings us to the famous Yogtzi case. In 1984, Günther Stoll, an unemployed food engineer, suffered from a moderate case of paranoia. He used to tell his wife of them, unidentified people who allegedly wanted to harm him. He mentioned them on the evening of October 25th, 1984, and suddenly shouted, "Now I've got it!" and then wrote the 6 letters YOGTZE on a paper and then instantly crossed them out. Stoll then went to his favorite pub where he ordered a beer and suddenly lost consciousness. He then woke up and drove away in his car. Sometime later, 2 truck drivers discovered his crashed car. They also testified that they saw an injured person in a white jacket walking near the car. Police found Günther Stoll naked and injured in his car. He was conscious during that time and mentioned 4 men who had been with him in the car who ran away. However, he denied that they were his friends and died on the way to the hospital. Police suspected that he might have been hit by a car somewhere else and then placed in the passenger seat of his car and driven to the location where he was found naked. No suspects have been found guilty of this mysterious death. Number 4. Randy Pascal. On number 4, we have the mysterious death of Randy Pascal. On April 7th, 1979, 10-year-old Randy Pascal went hiking with his grandfather and 2 brothers in Arizona. He wandered ahead of the group and went missing. Researchers were able to find a child's footsteps to a dirt road where they disappeared. It was concluded that he may have gotten into a vehicle at the road. In 1985, a woman reported of him being alive. It was suspected that he may have fallen down a mine shaft or went missing in the mountains, and until now, his case is still not resolved. Number 3. Rachel Runyon. Number 3 brings us to... Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more.